What's up guys, my name is Your Heroes and welcome back to more Men of War 2. Yes, as you've just seen in that video there, we officially now have a release date for Men of War 2. Some very exciting news. And if you don't know what Men of War 2 is an experience warfare like never before. Men of War 2 is the anticipated sequel to the acclaimed RTS franchise. Is here with all new units, locations, campaigns and game modes, combined with the series' trademark historical accuracy and a fiction-filled gameplay on the eastern and western fronts of World War II. And the publishers of who are called Fulcrum Publishing, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, but they have just put a trailer up for it, as you have just seen there. So what I'm going to be talking about today is in the video, as you saw, there's been a couple good hints that are going to be in the game, and I've actually pulled up a Word document for it that I'll be splitting it down so you guys can get a better understanding of whether the game is actually worth it or not, and whether it's more comparable like Men of War Assault Squad 2 and Gates of Hell and Call to Arms like the other franchise, which it says it has. But is it better, or is it just kind of a knockoff version of it? So let's get straight into it, and I hope you do enjoy. And by the way guys, if you do like what you see as well, then make sure you leave a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, and let's just get straight into it. So I've kind of written down quite a few things here which I personally think are going to be really good to the game. So they're adding 3 new campaigns, which are of course throughout the western and eastern front. So they have, so far, the massive hint is that they have 3 nations. They have Germany, Russia or the Soviet Union, and the Americans. They don't have the British, they don't have the Japanese, but I presume they'll be announced at like once the game is released and everything is that. But they might be adding more factions, you don't know, but as far as I'm aware, there will be 3 factions within this game, and within those 3 campaigns is the Thwarted Blitzkrieg, which I've actually tried to do a wee bit of research on kind of all these 3 campaigns here. Thwarted Blitzkrieg from Russia, I believe I looked it up, and that was apparently to stop it's how the Russians or how the Soviet Unions try to stop the blitzkrieg of the invasion of the Soviet Union. If I'm wrong, then let me know in the comments down below, but that is kind of what the idea that I got from it is how the Soviet Union stopped the lightning speed blitzkrieg into the invasion of Russia. So I'll be very interesting to see what that comes along with it. Next is the Germans on their own soil. I tried to look this up. I have no idea what this means. I don't know if this might be the defense of Germany itself. So as you know, towards the end of World War II, the Allies, the Russians, the British, the Americans, the Italians, I think as well, that turned against Germany, started to circle in on Germany during the end of the war. So yeah, the Germans on their own soil, don't really know what that means, but I've kind of explained what it could be, but let me know in the comments down below about that. And the last one, which is the False, I think it's French, the False Pocket. Now, I did do a wee bit of research on this. So the False Pocket was a decisive engagement of the Battle of Normandy in the Second World War. Allied forces formed a pocket around False, I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, Calvados, in which German Army Group B with the 7th Army and the 5th Panzer Army were encircled by the Western Allies. So that will be about the Americans trying to do an offensive of, surrounding the Germans and basically trying to kill them off. I'm sorry, I did have to look down at my phone there, do a wee bit of research there. So yeah, those are the 3 story campaigns which will be coming to the game. I'm very excited about this, and obviously we know that the Soviets, the Germans, the Americans are coming to the game. Of course, more factions will be added as the game comes along afterwards, such as the British, possibly the Japanese, even the Italians as well. A lot of factions still to be added into the game, but to be honest, this is actually better than Gates of Hell, because Gates of Hell only started off with the Soviets and the Germans, and they're just introducing the Americans into this new DLC, which I talked about in a video a couple of days ago. Go check that out, by the way, because it is really exciting. Obviously, this is a better start than Gates of Hell, but again, if we're talking about dynamics and gameplay wise, I don't know. And I've watched the video over, and the voiceovers sound very similar to Gates of Hell and Men of Warsaw Squad 2. So, or sorry, more towards Gates of Hell. So there's no exciting new voiceovers. Let me know what your thoughts on that is. And then they have 2 historical campaigns coming, which is Operation Bagration, which is a late-scale Soviet offensive against Nazi Germany that occurred from June 23rd to 19th to August the 19th, 1944 on the Eastern Front during World War II. So that will be, you could be the Soviets or the Germans. I have no idea. Now, it would be really cool if you could play from both sides. This is something that's never ever been done before, where you get a campaign or a mission where you actually get to play as from the Russian side or the Soviets or the Germans. So that'll be like a really new dynamic, or yeah, it'd be a really new dynamic scene to the game, because then you're gonna get the aspect of what it's like from a defensive and offensive side. So maybe, I don't think this will ever happen, but it's an idea that could spread, and I really hope it does. The next historical campaign, which is Operation Overlord. So everybody knows about that, Normandy, D-Day. It happened on the 6th of June 1944 and lasted until the 30th of August 1944, and it included the Americans, the British, the Canadians. Again, Overlord, it would be really cool again to have this dynamic of playing as the Americans for attacking or playing offensive, and then playing as the Germans as a defensive way of looking at it. Again, this would be something really cool, but hopefully, I don't think it'll ever happen, but you never know. Next thing they added was over 300 historical units. That is huge for just a starting out for a game. Now, of course, Gates of Hell, when they first released, they had similar statistics to this, although I can't remember if they had more or less historical units. I think they had less, because as the game went on, they did add more historical units towards it, but every game has done that. You know, every RTS kind of games like this of the franchise has just kept adding more historical units. So I do, and apologize for my dog going off, that I actually get no fucking peace in this house. So yeah, it's a dog. I generally can't do anything. I can't send her to Sausage Dog Factory. Even if I could, I couldn't. Anyway, sorry, going back to it. You've got direct control. I would say this is probably one of the most important things to add to this game. And the first, I believe, Gates of Hell that first introduced this direct control mode, where you press T and you press T again. So T, or when you press direct control, you can take control, but more of in a third person. And then you've got direct control, you press T and it takes you into this first person mode, which again, I hope the buttons are kind of all the same, because if they start adding like different buttons to it, because the direct control button for Gates of Hell is T, so if it's like another button, it'll just start confusing the audience, and it wouldn't just feel right. So I would really hope that kind of the buttons or the hotkeys are still the same for this as well. But direct control, such a revolutionary thing to the game that really kind of spiced the game up, made you feel like you are in a proper first person World War II kind of action game. So with a mix of RTS, so it's really, really cool, and I'm glad they've added this, because I think that is the first thing. If they didn't add this in, a lot of people, a lot of the audience and fans of this game would be asking it for straight away. So I'm glad they're adding it in. Competitive multiplayer. Now, this is quite a vague thing that they're saying. Competitive multiplayer could be anything. I guess it kind of fits in with your 15 PvP game modes. I really don't know what this means, because it's quite vague in what it's saying, but from what I could possibly understand is that they could have a new system within the game that Gates of Hell don't have, which makes multiplayer a lot more competitive. It could be that you have with certain game modes in PvP, you have to, capture flags, or you have to defend a point, or you have to do certain different game modes within PvP. It does make the game exciting, but saying competitive multiplayer doesn't really give a descriptive, way of exciting this game up. It could, all games say, even when Gates of Hell first came out, they said it was competitive multiplayer, and it is, but at the start of the trailer they never said what it was. And I know, because this is a trailer, the game isn't officially released and it's got a good couple months, so I do understand that, but by just saying competitive multiplayer, there's no really, I don't know what it could be. They'll be adding different game modes to it now, and that kind of leads on to the next thing: 15 plus PvP versus PvE game modes. That is huge. That is a lot of game modes. 15 plus game modes. Unless I'm talking out my arse here, unless it's just like 15 maps of just maybe 3 game modes, which are currently in Gates of Hell. But if it's saying that it's true that 15 plus game modes in PvE and PvE, that is huge. That is bigger than Gates of Hell's campaign list, all of campaign put together. This is a big, this is a big saying. That's a big statement. If that is actually true, then this is a huge statement, and this is something we haven't seen before. And I presume it might not be 15 game modes or PvP game modes or PvE game modes at the start when they release it. It might be like 5 game modes or 3 game modes, and then they'll add it progressively until the game is, once it goes through, once it's released, it'll start adding the other game modes throughout the years once it's released. So, but that is huge, and that's something I'm actually really excited for, because that is something I've never seen before, and I hope it kind of stays. I hope they stay true to the word. Got 20 plus multiplayer maps. Again, really exciting. I really hope one of them is the D-Day map. The Normandy is one of the most exciting ones I'm looking for. Raids and dynamic campaigns. Now, this is something I've heard before, but I've never quite understood what it meant. Again, raids and dynamic campaign is quite vague, but saying that it's dynamic is really exciting to hear those type of things as a fan, as a, from the franchise. Even though other franchises have said this, dynamic campaigns and raids and all, I've never heard of raids from other games before, but dynamic gameplay I've heard, campaign I've heard of, but raids I've not heard of. So I'd like to understand more what this means. If you guys know what that means, then let me know down in the comments as well. And you've got extensive co-op options. This is something I haven't seen before in kind of like a trailer release or anything. I really hope, so what I'm thinking this could be is when it comes to choosing maps, let's say, so when you go into multiplayer or when you go into co-op, you have to choose a map. Now, I really hope you get to choose maybe the daytime, whether it's day, midday or evening or midnight. You get to choose a time, you get to choose, I don't know, where you want to put the key points, instead of them making up the key points, where you have to capture key points, certain parts of the map to get more points. So I really hope you get to actually choose where to put those key points, if that's what they mean, because extensive, this is what I mean by extensive co-op options. So I really hope this could be it. Also, if you're doing, you can maybe set how long you want to set the time for doing it. You might also want to, which you can do anyway, you can do really any, maybe you can choose a certain amount of units you want to pick in the game, so really kind of make it a challenge for yourself on your friends, limit how many units you can get throughout the whole battle, or start off with and then finish off with, or maybe choose a certain amount of points you can get, which again is already in the game. But for those type of things, I'm really excited to hear what they have to say on this. What are your guys' thoughts on the extensive co-op options? Do you think this is maybe a wee bit overhyped, or do you think it's like, maybe it's not as, maybe thinking it's a wee bit too much? Let me know in the comments down below. and full mod support. Yes, this is something crucial. Again, I feel like this is Gates of Hell kind of added, I believe, at the start of their game as well. Get mods in the game is a really good addition to kind of add nations and missions that aren't already in the game, and new sounds and dynamics, again, which aren't already in the game. So this is really good, and this is something that should be implemented in any franchise of any game at the start of, you know, when they release it. So really exciting. So yeah, guys, that is it. That is what the trailer is covered by. I'm really excited to see, you know, the fact that they've already said they've already got 3 campaigns, 2 historical campaigns, direct control, competitive multiplayer, 15 plus PvP plus PvE game modes, 20 multiplayer maps, raids and dynamic campaign, extensive co-op options, and full mod support. All of those things I'm really excited for, but my favorite one, if I had to pick, would probably be the historical campaigns, or actually, sorry, mine would be the 15 plus PvP plus PvE game modes, because I've never seen anything like this before. So let me guys know what are your thoughts on this, you know, thing coming out to the game. But yeah, guys, that is it for today, and thank you so much for watching. Again, a big shout out to Furlquirm Publishing. Thank you so much for publishing the teaser trailer. It's honestly, it's been amazing, and I can't wait for it to come out. What are you guys' thoughts? And yeah, are you excited? And I believe this is definitely worth it. I'm thinking the range of the cost when Gates of Hell came out, that was about, I think, £15, £20 for me. So I'm really hoping it can be at a similar price to that, but who knows? That is my rough guesstimate how much it could cost within when the game does release. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching and our support, and I will see you in the next video. See you later, and goodbye.